Hey. Alright, let's get down to business here. I'm going to talk about myself for a little bit. I've been making videos basically saying how to quit porn. That's actually the name of the series, has been How to Quit Porn. So, it would make sense that if I was going to be talking about that kind of stuff, then I should give a little bit of backstory about where I'm coming from, my whole history with using porn and quitting porn and all that, just so that there is some kind of credibility, I guess? I don't know. But it makes sense to know my background. If I'm telling you from my experience how to quit porn, then you should probably know what that experience is. Also, I couldn't think of a particular topic today to continue the How to Quit Porn series, so this is going to be this is just kind of my next best thing. So, anyway, you could call me a late bloomer, I guess, compared to the average. I think the average age that a kid is first exposed to porn nowadays is about 11 years old. And I started watching porn at 15 years old, so, yeah, like I said, call me a late bloomer, whatever, but that's my story. I definitely, and just so you know, I'm going at this from a Christian perspective, so I take a lot of things very seriously that might not necessarily take seriously if you're not a Christian, but like I said, this is my story, this is my experience here, so that's a part of that experience is my faith. I would say I definitely had admitted lust into my mind well before that point, as most youngsters do. And so there was already kind of a foothold there for that porn addiction to take root once I finally did, take that step and get into that. Which was kind of an accidental step. I'd always kind of had it in my head that, well, if I'm not actually naked, or if I'm only thinking about it or something like that, then it's cool. I don't believe that anymore. I think that your mind is just as important of a battlefield as your computer screen. Actually, a more important battle, really, because that really is what it all comes down to. When you watch porn or something like that, that's really just a middleman. The main thing is getting the two main components of this are the object of lust and then the actual lustful thoughts inside of your mind. And your eyes, they're just a middleman. And your ears, if you're into that, are just a middleman. And so I would say I was definitely not pure by any means before 15, just because it took me that long to start watching porn. But anyway, back to the subject of porn. It was kind of accidental, as it usually is, I imagine, for most people. Kind of just stumbled across something. I'm probably not going to name websites, although this was not specifically a porn website. It was kind of like an encyclopedia of internet culture and memes, which was like my biggest thing back then, was just memes. Of course, you didn't call them memes because that was like what uncool people did, until it went crazy. I don't even know what it is anymore, but that was my thing, was like memes and internet culture, and of course an encyclopedia, and that sounds really weird, an encyclopedia of internet culture, but I mean, it's out there. But it makes sense that, this thing being out there, being user edited and created, it would have pornography on it, and it did, and I enjoyed it a lot, and spent a lot of time there, and kind of branched out from there. Started with, just still images and stuff like that. Mostly not real people, so off to a bad start there already. Already starting with, stuff that just isn't real or even realistic by any stretch. And that kind of perverted my entire sexual taste throughout the years that I was addicted to porn. It was, just totally way outside of the natural scope of sexuality, which sucked. and I'm glad I'm out of that now. And the cool thing is that your mind does heal from this. these interests, there's actually a term for a porn-induced fetish. It's a real thing, and the thing is, it's not really an inherent part of your sexuality. Pornography can get you into stuff that you naturally aren't actually into. And so when you quit, how you know this is because you realize that stuff doesn't appeal to you anymore. And if I think back about that kind of stuff, which I don't like to do at all, but it's disgusting to me. Like, not even just like morally revolting, it's just like, there's no appeal to this. So if you're into some kind of like really nasty stuff that you do not want to be into, and it might be because of porn, then there's definitely hope for that, and that's another reason to get to work getting out of this. And it might take a lot of time, but it is so worth it. I could honestly probably say that where I was at, and this is probably more extreme than a lot of you people, but I probably would not have been happy in a natural relationship later in life, when I started, dating and stuff like that. I don't think I would have been satisfied with what's real. And that really is what a lot of people find themselves in, because they're, not able to get it up without porn and stuff like that. Porn-induced erectile dysfunction is an actual thing, and people are suffering from this, and it's just because of this porn addiction. And the thing I learned through my experience was that this stuff all heals, and it's all in your mind, and it's all a result of this corruption of your mind that takes place when you're addicted to pornography. And it is possible to get out of it. You can beat this addiction, and I did beat it, and my mind, it went back to normal. And, I feel better than ever now, just about all of this kind of stuff. Anyway, getting off on a tangent there. So, yeah, it started off with very unrealistic still images and things like that. It did branch out later on to include a lot more stuff. Probably not going to get into detail on what it was right now. I might later. It seems kind of like a TMI kind of subject. But from there, it kind of went a little bit more normal and a little bit more extreme in either direction. There was a lot more animated stuff, a lot more just completely unrealistic, doesn't exist kind of stuff that I was into. A lot of more real stuff too, real people and things like that. I kind of just branched out in every direction. I was always looking for something kind of new, or a better version of something than I had seen before. And I was fairly picky as far as certain aspects of it, but there was always this urge to look for some kind of new variety or something like that. And that is something that has been observed in other people too. And that's one of the things that makes porn so compelling, is that there's kind of this endless variety there. And you're never going to reach the point where you've just seen it all. Because there's always something new. And if there isn't, then somebody's going to make it soon. And the possibilities are just like totally endless. And that's kind of the scary thing about it, is because when you're quitting and you're trying to quit, a part of you starts to wonder, what am I missing out on? I can tell you from where I am right now, not much. You're not missing out on anything that's worth seeing. There's all kinds of stuff that I was into, and that there's probably definitely a lot of new material out there, but at this point, there is just no desire whatsoever to get back into that. To, see, what's been happening, just because those particular things aren't even interesting to me anymore. I'm more interested in, building relationships with real people, building a relationship with a real woman. And that is so much more fulfilling and so much more satisfying than anything that porn ever offered me. Porn is just kind of like this hunger that just perpetuates itself, and you're always craving more and more and more. But the thing is, you can't really get enough. Like with the food addiction, you can get enough. There's a physical limit to how much you can put inside of your body before it's just like no more. There is no physical limit to how much porn you can watch. And that's part of the danger, is because you're not limited, and so you can completely overdose, I guess, is my, if overdose can even be used as a term for this, but that's the closest word I can think of. You're able to just infinitely overdose on this really unnatural kind of stimulus, and that just makes it so much more addicting, because it just completely overloads your mind with this huge abundance of really hot stuff that just it isn't real, and it's not anything. And so it's just this kind of cheap artificial stimulation, and it does mess with your brain. It really seriously rewires your mind, and you can look into that. Your Brain on Porn is an excellent resource that goes into all the kind of scientific details and stuff, all that. So you can check that out if you're interested in the precise details of that. But for the purpose of this video, yes, it does alter your brain, it does mess with your mind. But the thing is, all of that can be undone. And when you quit, and it does take some time, but when you quit, then your brain will start to revert back to a normal state. A lot of people call this rebooting. And it's a process, but it is so worth it in the end, because coming back to your natural self and rediscovering your actual sexuality, or what it's actually like, naturally, is way better than this cheap, fake stuff that's out there, and that just perpetuates, your hunger for it, and it just never ends, because you're addicted to that variety. You're addicted to that always finding something new, and so there's really just no end to it. There's no being satisfied. There's no fulfillment in it, and that was one of the things that I realized going along, is because over the years that I was addicted, I was always looking for, that one thing that would finally be like, okay, I've seen enough, and this is like the hottest thing ever, and so I'm good now. But there was no such thing, and it never satisfied. And no matter how extreme or like precisely lined up with my tastes something was that I found, then it always left me wanting more in the end. And it just wasn't a way to live. It's not a way to live, and that's not how your sexuality is supposed to be. It's just a complete. It's a destruction of your sexuality, as it really is intended to be. So, yeah, this went on for a while. Started at age 15, completely addicted, like watching porn on an almost daily basis until 20. And I would say I was fighting it the whole time, because I professed faith all along. I'm a Christian, and I knew, hey, this is a bad thing, and I need to not do it. Even though I had kind of admitted lust into my mind before that, I kind of had, I could agree that, yeah, porn is a bad thing, and I need to not watch it. But the progress kind of never came, and I fought and fought and fought, and it just wasn't getting anywhere. But I was kind of clutching onto my pride, and I wasn't willing to really say anything about it to anyone. Now, this is another part that makes me sound weird, but at this point I was still really, really plugged into like a bunch of web forums and image boards and stuff like that. And I saw a group of guys who were like, hey, this was in 2014, like, hey, I'm not going to watch porn or masturbate for the month of September. And this was on August 31st. I remember the day. And I'm like, I mean, I probably can't do it, but yeah, sure, whatever, I'll join in. And so I wrote up my little post and said, yeah, I'm in, whatever. And so the thing that introduced a different kind of dynamic, because when you have that community, even if it's not in real life, just the fact of being accountable to somebody else and having that kind of back and forth encouragement and all that kind of thing, it really does help out a whole lot. And at that point, it was actually kind of amazing, because before that, I could, scarcely go a few days without watching porn. And after August 31st, 2014, I did not watch porn at all again until October 19th of the same year. So over a month and a half. And I was just like blown away. I'm like, holy crap, I need to talk to people more about this and, get this under control, because this seems to be helping. And that was just like one piece of the puzzle there. And but it's a huge thing, is community. And that's why I urge people to, talk about this. And if you want to talk to me about it, talk to me about it. I want to talk about it. I wouldn't be making these videos otherwise. So if you want accountability or to talk about anything in particular, about any of this, talk to me. I would love to. And so that was kind of how it went from that point on. Every month or two, I would slip up and, mess up again and be like, oh, no, I can't keep doing this. That went on until June or July of 2015. And that was when I was like, okay, we've made progress, but still messing up, on a regular basis. Not frequently, every month or two, but still it's kind of a recurring thing here. So let's sit down and figure out what's going on. And so I reevaluated my strategy, and that's when I thought about, okay, I need to not be concerned about what I want to do, because your sexuality is powerful, and you will want to do things one moment that you decided you didn't want to do before, and your priorities get rearranged, and it's a mess there. So I'm like, okay, I need to take my own prioritization, my own desire out of the mix here, and say, I'm not going to quit porn because this and this and this reason, but instead I'm just going to do what God wants me to do. And at that point, it doesn't matter how bad I want to watch porn, or whether, watching this thing is worth resetting my streak, or worth, maybe not getting some of those benefits that the guys on the NoFap Reddit were talking about. There's no weighing this against that. It's just a matter of, what does God say? He says no? Okay, well, I can't do it. And sounds a lot simpler than it is, because it does take a lot of willpower. But that was one facet of the strategy, and I had been building up that willpower over time. And that's something that you need to work on. That's why I say the sooner you start, the better. And it might take time, but it's worth it. But the sooner you start, the sooner you're going to start exercising that willpower muscle and building it stronger and becoming better at resisting. And that's an important thing to do. So definitely do that. Just get started. That's something that I cannot stress enough. Just get started. Start resisting, and that resistance will train you to resist more effectively in the future. Even if you fail, get back up and start running again, and you'll get stronger each time. So all of that kind of came together in June or July of 2015, and since then I've been completely clean. And it was a few other things too. I decided that I had to keep my mind clean too, because along the way I would kind of compromise and not really be 100% committed to the whole sexual purity thing as far as it came to my mind and my own thoughts. I figured, hey, it doesn't count. I'm not watching porn or anything like that, so yeah, if I entertain a little bit of, fantasy in my mind every now and then or something like that, then it's okay. Besides, I'm a dude. What else am I supposed to do with my brain? But that's not true. I think you do have to keep your mind under control. That was a big part of it for me. If you don't start thinking about the wrong kind of stuff, then you're a lot less likely to take that step into doing something or watching something. And so that's kind of your first line of defense there. Your mind really is kind of the first and last line of defense, in a way, because your mind is where these desires to seek something out or do something that you don't need to be doing, that's where they're going to start. And then your mind is also the last line of defense when things try to, come at you, when it's something that you didn't seek out, that's just kind of shown up on your computer screen or wherever. And you need to be able to fight kind of on both fronts there, as the first line of defense, as far as, being proactive and stopping these thoughts from being bred in the first place inside your mind, and then also being able to hold out when you're already, completely under attack and being assaulted from, seemingly every direction. And yeah, I lost a little bit of momentum there, but that really is the other important thing, is treat your mind as just as important of a battlefield as your eyes and your browser history. and take that seriously. Be as unwilling to think about something as you are to actually do something, and that'll go a long way towards helping there also. And there's all kinds of other stuff that plays into that. I do read my Bible a lot, and regardless of what you happen to be reading at the moment, I think just the idea of being in God's Word a lot does help, and it kind of gives you more ammunition to be able to fight this thing. Being involved with other Christians a lot, and if you talk to other people about this particular problem, this is something that is kind of hard for people to talk about in real life, which is kind of why I did it online. And I wish I had talked to people in real life. I think that would have been a lot better for me. And so I would definitely advise that if you have somebody you trust who you can talk to about that, then definitely do that. And I have guys who have come to me and started talking to me about this kind of stuff, and I'm so glad they did, because I'm actually able to help them. And they have made progress much, much, much faster than I did just trying to talk to people online. And I'm not saying that talking to people online wasn't helpful, it was. But there's really no substitute for that real life, accountability. And that's a very good thing that I'm definitely in favor of. And I wish I had made that decision a lot sooner. But, yeah, so community accountability is definitely important. Focusing on God's will instead of your own. Just brushing your own will aside. Even if you have all these reasons to quit porn and you're all excited about that, just remember the main thing is to please God and glorify Him. And that should be your main motive, regardless of all the other stuff. The other stuff is great, but it's really just, kind of a little bonus there. The main thing is to obey God, no matter what you want to do, no matter what the cost is to you. Definitely keep a tight leash on your mind, and don't let it, go places that you wouldn't be comfortable going in your browser. Because it really is not much different. Like I said, it's just cutting out the middleman of your eyes. Yeah, those are my main points for right now. I've made a bunch of other videos on the other specific areas about this. I'm not going to go into too much detail right now. But check out those other videos, because there's so much more than I can go over right here. I just kind of wanted to give my background there and talk about how I was addicted, and I fought it for a long time. And really, most of the time, it seemed like I was never going to be free. In fact, I was never really convinced that I was ever going to completely quit porn until several months into these last 9 months. I mean, probably around, it was probably around, November, December before I realized, hey, hold on, I might actually be done with this for good. And it really does take you by surprise, because when you fight it for so long, it does start to feel like you're never going to be free, because you've fallen back in so many times. But it is worth that fight, and it's worth going through all that discouragement and doubt and all that kind of stuff to make it to the goal there. And it is awesome. And if you don't believe me, then see for yourself. So, that is about it. Like I said, if you want to talk about any of this, then leave me a comment or shoot me a message or whatever. I'm on Twitter too, so if you want to have like a little public conversation over something over there, then great. But any of that is good, and I would love to talk to you guys about any of this, anything at all. And even if it's not related to this, or if you want kind of my perspective, or to talk about something that is related to porn, but kind of a different aspect of it, then yeah, definitely. I would love to go into detail on any of that and do that. I mean, if it's on your mind, then speak up, say something. I do these videos a lot. I've been doing almost one a day recently, so if you like them and you want to see more, then feel free to subscribe, and you will be able to keep up with that. And that is pretty much it. So, yeah. Have a wonderful day. Keep praying for each other. Keep praying for me, because I need prayer, and I'm not perfect. And I'm perfectly capable of falling. I don't expect to. I don't intend at all to allow it to happen. But it can happen. I'm only human. I haven't transcended onto some superhuman plane of existence because I stopped watching porn. So, pray for me. Pray for each other. I will pray for you guys. And it'll be great. Keep fighting. Stop watching porn. And you're going to make it. Our God is a victorious God, and if you're on His side, then you will win. It might take some time, but you will win. That is assured. So, that wraps it up. Have a great day. Stop watching porn, and I will talk to you guys later.